The will is abandoned on earth. The mother of everything took a walk and looked at the animals we had manifested. She was happy to see that they were independent and playful, and also exotically beautiful. She had fun in spite of herself, and when she realized she was feeling happy, she went running back to share it with the Father of Manifestation. She had imagined that he would wait for her where he was, but she could not find him. The more she looked around for him, the more she feared that he was gone. Terror was nearly overwhelming her that she had been left alone and was trapped on earth without the power to leave. She was so terrified, she held back as much as she could for fear she could not bear to experience the depths of it. The mother was also feeling a grief-stricken rage that said that we had used her again and then trapped and abandoned her. Now they have you where they want you, Rage said. They can go and experience anything they want to, and you cannot leave this place to follow them or to participate in anything unless they come and escort you. There is still much lost will in women that feels trapped at home in these same ways. The mother began having little fits of crying rage that were stopped shortly after they began by guilt. When she did this, she could feel the earth tremble, and it frightened her because she thought it might mean that I was going to punish her for raging. Still, she kept walking furiously around earth, but instead of raging, she was muttering to herself and looking for the Father of Manifestation. For a time, she tried to pretend that he was hiding from her and that it was a game. The more she looked without finding him, the more fits of rage she had, and the more fits of rage she had without any real change in her situation, the more she feared she was trapped without the power to change it. She had to give in to her terror to really move things here, but she did not know it, and she so feared her terror that she preferred her rage. She began expressing blame toward us in long tirades that began with hand-wringing and ended with fury that frightened her even more. Her feeling of misery, entrapment, and impotence caused her to collapse at the end of these fits and cry bitter, hot tears. She felt she hated me and the Father of Manifestation now for going off and leaving her in the place that made her most long to be with us. She was surrounded by the places in which she most wanted to make love to us, and now these places were all empty of the love she had wanted them to have. She even at times believed that we had planned to trap her in this and leave her there to torture herself until there was nothing left of her. The mother could look out with her internal eye and see what we were doing. She could see that we had other lovers, but in her emotions, she was not sure if this was really true or if it was part of her self-torture. She finally decided that we had to have other lovers or else we would be coming to her. The Godhead celebrates. When I returned home, I was relieved to find that to the angels, it did not seem that I had been gone for long. To the Mother on earth, it seemed that Body and I had both been gone for an interminably long time. To us, it seemed that we had just left her. We had many things happening simultaneously and had no real sense of time. The angels had welcomed me home in a party mood, saying they thought I had manifested something and that it needed recognition through celebration. I was the guest of honour at so many parties, I began to wonder if the Godhead thought I had exiled the Mother on Urantia and was secretly celebrating this. While these parties were going on, I was looking around creation to see if the angels were distracting me from something I should be noticing, but at the same time I was having fun with them. We did have much to celebrate that was good in creation. The angels had had a good beginning, and they had, for the most part, maintained the optimism and joy of their emergence. It was as though the angels had learned to cultivate all the good feelings and to let the rest go. The angels had a lot of visionary power, and they made it look like all was right in the heavens. The angels had a long period of feeling good with me and of celebrating life, which they have taken in and held among their fondest memories. The parts of the angelic vibration that have gotten trapped on earth have still wanted to hang on to this outlook by trying to overlook everything they believe might bring them down in favour of everything that might restore them to the experience of these fond memories. They have the fear that it is not possible to feel emotions they call negative and vibrate at the speed necessary to be with me. These angels already fear that they have gone down farther than they can stand, and they do not want to let themselves be overwhelmed by this, for fear they will go down even farther. They try to focus continually on upliftment. The Godhead and manifestation without the Mother. Meanwhile, the Father of manifestation had been drawn off of earth by my departure, but he had his emotions involved also, which were causing him to polarize more to me than to the Mother. When the Mother had suddenly gone for a walk, he had felt her guilt, and he did not want to have to face what it said or what it might mean. He had decided it was his opportunity to leave, since he wanted to go anyway. He had guilt about telling the Mother that he wanted to leave, that he wasn't sure he wanted to take her with him, and that he didn't know how to take her with him. He wanted to be alone to sort out his feelings. He also had thoughts of coming to me to have the frank discussion I had mentioned we needed to have. He didn't want to be kept in suspense, and yet suspense was better than knowing if the outcome of this discussion was not going to be to his liking. The Father of manifestation lifted off of Urantia with the intention of weighing his thoughts and feelings by himself, and then coming to me if he decided it was the right thing to do. But his intent was divided between avoidance and facing the issues. His divided intent manifested a distraction. As his vibration lifted back into familiar territory, he was overtaken by messengers saying that there were many spirits who had been looking for him and that they wanted his help. It was guilt telling him he was not right to want to go off by himself, but it was coming in the form of angels who had been his lovers. The Father of manifestation decided to take the line of least resistance and tarry with these angels. He thought he would then try to help what spirits he could and come to me later if I had not yet come to him. This lengthy agenda was to avoid the fear that he couldn't come to me any more on his own, and that I might not come to him. The angels who had waylaid him also feared they could not return to me on their own any more, and viewed the Father of manifestation as the next closest thing to me. They wanted to receive his light in the hope that it would restore theirs. These angels had been spending a lot of time out in manifestation with the rainbow spirits, and they had begun vibrating guilt more than light without realizing it. They had guilt about being Godhead spirits, and they were receiving its reflection from the rainbow spirits, who were telling them that they had a better place in the Godhead than the rainbow spirits had out in manifestation. These spirits had guilt every time they wanted to go home, that this meant they thought it was better than being with the rainbow spirits. When these spirits heard the Father of Manifestation thinking of coming to me, they wanted him to take them along. These spirits thought they needed the help of the Father of Manifestation to overcome what they thought was the magnetic pull of manifestation. They did not understand that it was actually a problem of guilt, telling them they would be unloving to leave the rainbow spirits. These spirits blamed the mother for sticking them with the role of parenting by leaving, and they had judged her to be unloving for this. They didn't want to then do as she had done. They were able to strike a responsive chord of guilt in the Father of Manifestation, because he had guilt that the mother might not be doing her job very well, and that the angels' blame for her might mean they had unspoken blame for him, because he had just taken a break he wasn't ready to end. He wondered why it was that he felt like a slave in a creation of his own making. These angels also had the Father of Manifestation in their grip, because they wanted to be his mates, and in so doing displace the mother. These spirits thought they had parenting experience with the rainbow spirits, and that they cared about them more than the mother did. They felt that they were happier spirits than the mother, and that therefore an angel would be a better mother figure than the mother had been. These angels now wanted to prove that they could make the Father of Manifestation happier sexually than he had been with the mother. The Father of Manifestation allowed this to happen to him because he had fears that he was going to have to find another mate. He loved the mother in such a way that he did not want to think that she was not the right one for him, but he had certainly had his troubles with her. The angels seduced him with the promise that he would not have any trouble with them. I was having a parallel experience in the Godhead. Angels were waiting on me hand and foot, and I would like to add that I have been referring to the ancient ones as angels too, all trying to make me feel that the evenness of their dispositions was more desirable than the mother's emotional roller coaster. I fell for this, I must admit. I made love with the angels during this time, and often with many of them at once. Some of these angels tried to emerge spirits, thinking it would please me, and qualify them to replace the mother, but they were not successful. I found later that there were actually many emergences trying to come forth during this time, but since there was no space open for them to come forth, they had to wait. These times of celebration in the Godhead were paralleled by celebration in manifestation. The Father of Manifestation had music at the heart of him, and form and movement took on great and grand new meaning against the backdrop of music he was always composing. He had fun at heart too, and did not mind having fun as an upliftment for misery. These times were a source of great misery for the mother, who had hoped that what we had with her on Urantia had been good enough to end our interest in others, or at least restore some interest in her. She feared and raged that she had given us her best and that it was not good enough. She even had desire to take revenge on us. She felt left out, abandoned, and unloved. The mother noticed that almost no spirits openly asked about her, seemed to miss her, or went to look for her. She took note of the ones that did. She hated the rest of us for this, but she hated herself more than anyone else. She lamented her entrapment and wished she could be anybody but who she was. As she saw it, everyone received more attention and acceptance than she did. Lucifer was not even as left out as she was. We were ignoring the mother, hoping to avoid the problems we were having with her in this way. I told myself I was taking a break from her so that I could figure things out, but I was more into the break than I was into figuring things out. I was enjoying the peace and quiet I had when the mother was not around. I sensed that she had gotten herself trapped on earth, but I hesitated to go after her because I wasn't sure I wanted her to come back. While I was hesitating, I tried telling myself that the mother wasn't really trapped on earth and that she could leave if she wanted to, but was probably amused by the animals, or didn't come because she didn't share my interests anymore, or was trying to make her choice between the Father of Manifestation and myself. At times I feared that she had chosen him instead of me, but when I looked out, she was not with him. The Father of Manifestation had similar feelings and fears, but when he looked at me, he did not see the mother there with me. Both of us kept getting disquieting rumblings from Urantia. Then Heart got involved. Heart came to each of us separately and told us that he did not like what was going on between us and the mother, and that he feared she was lost or trapped someplace because he had not seen her for so long. Heart said that he thought the mother might be lost out in the darkness someplace where she could not get back to us. Heart wanted one of us to go after the mother.